Dude, raising hell.
All right.
Have that. Griffin. Yeah. 2 seconds, dude. I just got to get the chat GPT thing that I pull up.
What's the oh, you know what? That's a good idea. Let me see here. Raising Hell Run DMC track list.
Just wait, dude. Wait until you see how good this thing is.
Oh, I know. I already know. I just want to see it in front of me. I mean, I know what this is. I think this is the most iconic rap album of all time, just because of.
Well, no, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay.
Don't say it because I want to get. I got to get all this good. There you go. Let's see if this pops.
I even have this for you.
Hello.
Ooh. That's that machine I always want to bring to goddamn comedy jam.
Well, we're going to be doing that, when we're on the boat in a few weeks. Oh God, your lighting is so much better than mine. I got to get closer. I got to get here just so everybody knows. And we should just say it right off the jump. This is Erik's 15th podcast today.
Yeah. I can make my background Run DMC if you need.
Do you want to? I mean, it's not good, dude. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. I mean, I love you being out in the ocean like a Viking warrior about to be put to death. Feel free to eat any delicious ciabatta breaded sandwich that you got. You are doing us a favor right now.
Am I doing too much right now?
No, God, dude, you saved our ass today. I'm gonna pull the curtain back to all of the Fleece Army out there. Last minute booking, not, and honestly, should have probably come to you right off the jump. Probably really should have come to you right off the jump. I know how much you love music. I know how much you love hip hop, whether it's R&B or whatever, and then also you're black, so and you're of the age where this probably would have been in there.
Yeah, this is the age range of definitely when, someone would know this album I'm trying to think what year was this.
This record came out in 1986, and I'm going to give you the coolest shit ever. Erik, I'm going to give you the coolest shit ever. This record, Raising Hell, by Run DMC and Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, were the first two albums that my parents bought me and my sister ever. This was like the first ones that we were like, they're like, we're going to buy you some records or whatever you want. What do you want? And Jody and I, my sister, we were like, well, I want this. And she was like, well, I want this. And we were like, well, how about we both kind of like, what are the other two? Because I didn't like that one. She didn't like that one. She's like, well, I like, because it was between like the Beastie Boys and this. And I was like, oh man, but I love like, I love You Be Illin'. I love like, it was the perfect record for a white. Oh, look at that change up in the background.
Yeah.
This was the perfect record for like a 6-year-old kid. Oh, you're so tricky. I wish I could do that. How do I fix mine? But I think the way my lighting is. No, but this is like one of those things where as this record came up and I was like, all right, I got to listen to it. The second I put this record on, it took me back completely to being, 6-7 years old. However, I mean, when did this come out? What month did this come out? Let me see if I can find it. I don't have the exact months, but I'm assuming I was about, if it's 86, I was the oldest. I turned 7 in November. So yeah. How were you when this came out?
86. Oh, so I'm 72. So I was like 14, 15. I was just like, I think this was like freshman year in high school for me. Or the summer. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize you're fucking old as dust. God.
This piece of shit. Yeah.
This motherfucker. But you fit in with all us youngins. I'm saying that as a 46-year-old man.
Yeah, exactly. You right on my heels. How dare you?
I'm nipping, dude.
Yeah, this was like, but okay, you see, so I grew up in LA. So this was like, you had to listen to a station called K-Day back in the day to hear rap on the radio. So, and it was like an AM station. So, it wasn't stereo, and that's where you had to listen to stuff. And, the reason why to me this album was so instrumental to the whole rap movement is it crossed over. I think this is the first real this put rap on the map, really. It made, wouldn't you say? I don't know what I could think of before this. It was this and the Beastie Boys all around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And and I think that honestly, the Beastie Boys being white is like the door opening for America to be like, oh, okay, so this, I guess I can listen to this genre of music, and then here it is done in a way that they're like, oh, okay, but still sort of commercial at the time too. The tracks that came out, and then Aerosmith really co-signing the whole thing, and then there you go, and then the rest is history. Then it's LL Cool J, then it's what JJ Fad, and it's like Salt and Pepper, and it's all those groups that kind of crossed over to get radio airplay. But this is the first time that people were just kind of like, all right, yeah, this is my jam,
Yeah, this is a record that, let me see if I can, I wrote this at the beginning of it. I said, this is a record, because you said it opened the door. I think this kicked down the doors. I think this is the record, because hip hop before this, from my understanding, was, White Lines, so the Grandmaster Flash, Furious Five, Sugar Hill Gang. This was not, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to talk under my ass. So Peter or who edits these now, Alex, I just want to make sure, just when I tell the person when I put this, because we may have to cut this little part. I just want to make sure, I want to get their first record. So yeah. All right. So pick it up from here. So this is their third. So Run DMC drops their first record in 1984, which has It's Like That, Hard Times.
And that's the way it is.
And I think we can all agree that all of the MCs from back in that day, Eric, they all had that rhyme style of the way that most regular white people that have no connection to hip hop whatsoever still rap to this day.
I was about to say, it's the McDonald's commercials of today. Big Mac and fries with a chocolate shake. Yeah, that's how we do it. In the USA, it's like, yes, it was a sort of sing-songy nursery rhyme style of doing rap that, it's like Houdini and, the Sugar Hill Gang. And that was like the thing. And then it's, I think that Run DMC was one of the first times that this particular album where it was now, let's combine, samples and, some musicality to it that's not just a beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely see what you're saying. I think this because you go from that first record to then King of Rock, which is great. You've got King of Rock on it. You talk too much. Can you rock it like this? But this is the record, in my opinion, because I listened to all three of these, where I feel the samples really start getting good, the beats start getting really interesting. And like I said before, this is like them not just opening the door, they are kicking down the door. They are basically saying, this is where hip hop is going to be now. We're going to steal your sneakers, and then we're going to get a corporate endorsement for it.
I feel like though, yes, but I think it was a lot of factors that went into this. I really do think, like I said earlier, I think that, the rap wasn't really a thing. And it was like at the time considered like this is for the Black community only. Like people weren't really listening to this in the mainstream at all.
Sure.
And then you have these white kids come out, like I say, and Beastie Boys come out, and it's just kind of, I think that made it okay. It made it like, oh, this is an interesting style. And then you're seeing people that look like, the mainstream of America at the time. And then these guys just come out and just, they basically come out of nowhere to most of America. This is the album that, I don't think people would know these songs, and they would think those other songs are on this album. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, totally.
You know?
But this is the epitome of what I would call like rap at the time, because there was always like the battling and I'm the best MC, but this is one where it's like rap confidence times a million, and they're setting up what the business model is going to be for hip hop moving forward. And I think this is like, it's aggressive, occasionally like problematic, but also like wildly successful. Successful.
Yes, I do think that this opened the door that was kicked down to me was the commercial door. I think the door that was kicked down was like the barrier between, the corporate endorsement and them thinking that, what is this going to sell? That kind of thing. It's like, I don't know if this is going to sell. And then it sure did. It turns out it sure did. And so, and then again, you have, having a collaboration between, I think it was so important that Walk This Way is a really important song for hip hop, because it made people recognize how the music has a lot of similarities, that, that you could be like, oh, when you hear this rap on that song, you go, oh, okay, that actually works. And also the other way too, that oh yeah, you could rap on some rock stuff. I think it opened the door for everyone. I think all the music business, all of hip hop, every person that wanted to be a hip hop artist looked at that and said, oh, this changes the game. We can rap on anything.
And I think it's also, no one ever would have thought that it would have gone into the direction that it went into, not just with hip hop, but with combining them, like Rage Against the Machine, Faith No More, Limp Bizkit, for Christ's sake. I mean, and it took
iconic,
iconic.
But that's, I don't think that happens without this album.
No. 100%. This is the first. Well, they always say that the first instance of, like, I guess it's rap, but I thought it's the first instance. Morty's gonna be so pissed at me. The Debbie Harry thing where she does, like, Five Freddy is and everybody's saying and the same when the soon only do. I don't know. Which is a great song. But this is really, the combination of like Run DMC and the genius that is fucking Rick Rubin, dude.
Rick Rubin. Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it takes people like that have a vision, that see the world in a different light. Like Rick Rubin saw the world in a different lens. He saw this music and he was like, man, no, this is powerful. This is deep. This has meaning. This has roots. It moves people. It's not a black thing. It's a cultural thing that has to do with, like, when you think of urban now, I think that, back then, if you would have said urban, it would have been like, that's just black. But I think now urban means so much more. I think it's like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So I think that he saw that in a different way and he was like, no, let's do this. And, he's like the guy that, what's the baseball player, the first black baseball player?
Jackie Robinson.
Yeah. So he's like the white owner, you know what I mean, that brought Jackie Robinson into the league.
Isn't that weird? There's still a white guy that has to be a part of the history of hip hop.
So he's
right
like
at the beginning.
He's the white owner that's like, you know what? Y'all don't know what you're talking about. This is great. But, like some things about this album that is pretty that I remember is that, so Michael Jackson was the first black artist on MTV, but I think that Run DMC was the first hip hop artist to be in the mainstream of MTV, thanks to Aerosmith and that album. And then they being like, well, I guess we have to play this. I think that happened with a lot of radio stations. People were like, we have to. Everybody loves this. We have to play this. What I mean? There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, so then it just turned into a thing. They realized when they did play, they were like, oh, people really like this.
Sure. At a certain point, though, it's that whole saying that they always say in comedy is just like, there's people that are going to work harder than the funniest guy in the world, but who might not be getting the shine, but eventually the funny rises to the top. So when you're talented, if you're making music, and this is back in the day when it's like, now it's like you could be talented. I mean, there's guys that are far less talented than this incredible prolific hip-hop group with all the accoutrements that you need, with the Russell Simmons and the Rick Rubins working on it. And there are people that just can make one song and get it online and put it out there. Like, this is like a street team hustling hard. Like, they are
bad. This is the trunk is open. You selling records from the trunk, but not just the music though, man. I think that it also it had an effect on how you sell the music, fashion, being a presence, and the fashion and the music combined, having the chains and the hats, man, and the outfits, and making people like, be like, oh man, this is, this is a whole thing. This is like the fashion was a character on its own. And then having the wherewithal to have a song called My Adidas, and then Adidas being like, okay, I guess
Brilliant.
this is like, oh, wow. Then then you got white kids wanting to rap and wear Adidas and have big chains, and you know what I mean. And once you do that, you got it.
Well, I think, and from watching that movie Air, where they're trying to get Michael Jordan to come to Nike. Have you seen that? Because it's a great film.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, but I do want to watch it.
Enjoy it. It is a perfect watch. It is the easiest movie you'll ever watch, and it just makes me love Ben Affleck. I used to always think he was a dildo, and now I'm like, he seems like the really cool guy, and he really does. And it's just like, but that's a whole nother podcast. The moral of the story is Jordan's mom basically says it's between Converse and Adidas, and he's leaning towards Adidas because that's what everybody's wearing. That's the number one thing, and it's because of this group here, dude. Because it's a German owned soccer, clothing line. But it's those three stripes and whatever that fucking Clover thing is, and to have two of, not two, them and fucking LL Cool J. They're all wearing this shit. This is what people in the coolest like dudes in music at the time are wearing. So yeah, it's like it's a no-brainer that he wanted to sign with that. And he would even say like he wears Converse during the games. He goes, yeah, but the second he gets out of the game, he takes that off and he puts on Adidas.
Well, it's hard to also talk about this album and not remember what was going on in the world at the time. And like, it's like people today, when they talk about racial relations, and it's like, oh, it's such a place of privilege to talk about that in 2025, as if we have the same racial stripes and differences that we had, just 30, 40 years ago. It's bananas, because this album, like, people don't understand, they weren't playing rap on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't being nominated for Grammys. They weren't on the covers of magazines. They weren't touring like arena tours. It wasn't happening until this album and this group. You know what I mean? They were the first rap group to be nominated for a Grammy.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first rap group to be on Rolling Stone, the cover of Rolling Stone, And then they were the first rap group to have an arena tour, like, just to be like, and that just showed the music business changed their tune. They were like, I think this is viable. And then it became what it is today.
Very viable. And, I love that you said what was going on at the time. I mean, think about it. What were they, 1986, right? Like Reagan is president. That's the whole greed is good era. All money, money, money. That's white people that is like white people at their most greedy. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, it is Wall Street booming and the inner cities are struggling. And then you got Run DMC's Confidence, which felt probably radical to like, to the system, how it's bucking that. I love that you mentioned MTV, because MTV is still mostly white, right?
At the time, for sure.
And rock is number one, dude. Rock is like, we're basically a pubic hair away from Guns N' Roses, but you're getting, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of 86. You're coming out of like the new wave shit. Is it like, she blinded me with science? Like that.
I think it was still at the tail end of the big hair stuff, 86. Because it's like, you think 84, 85, 86. It's like, yeah. Because when is Guns N' Roses? When did they
86, 87, but I think it's more 87. I think that was really the year.
Yeah.
I think the record came out in 86, but I think it really blew up in 87, 88. But yeah, but rap's a novelty.
Yes. At the time it was like, but I think that this Run DMC and the Raising Hell album showed the music business what is possible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then that turned into, again, what it is right now. I mean, I also think that, you know, a side note is I think it was sad to see MTV go away.
Mm-hmm.
What it's turned into in the past few years is a travesty. You know what I mean? It's an abomination what it turned into. But at the time, you know, I think one of the most significant things in music history to me was what was that show they had with you know, the
Ridiculousness.
No talking about the music with the
I know, I'm kidding. So, I mean, what, like back
whatever,
then?
Yeah, but whatever it was
the Yo MTV Raps.
Not well, Yo MTV Raps
eventually. That's later. That's when hip hop
later.
Yeah.
But you know, but even later, like once you know, the most, you know, the pop charts became really what the pop charts are supposed to be, is like, this is the most popular songs of any genre. Once that became popular on MTV, it's the music landscape that we have today. You know, because then, you know, it became a thing where it was like there were country songs on the pop chart and rap and rock. And if it was a good song and it hit the pop charts, it could be that. But there was a time where there was nothing like that. And so to have you know, to have 2 or 3 songs hit the pop charts from this album, you know, this is like, you know what I mean?
Totally. But also, like, look, you know, I'm pulling up like music that was popular at the time. You have Madonna, you know, at peak Madonna.
Yeah.
You know, she hasn't vogued yet, but this is like, you know, God, this is the sexy, in my opinion, one of the sexiest, coolest versions of Madonna. I think it's this Who's That Girl generation when she has the blonde hair. I think this is Material Girl Madonna. You have Prince, so you have like flashy perfection, you know, and like you said with rock, it's the excess, it's the hair, it's the guitar solos, you know, and in hip hop, there's all this infighting, you know, for legitimacy. Like they're just trying to figure it out. And what's so cool, I think, about this record is that Raising Hell's like, well, we don't need the polish, we don't need the permission. Let's be the rock stars of hip hop and kick, and you know what I mean? And dude, the idea of the merging and reinvention of Aerosmith, because don't forget, dude, Aerosmith is down in the dumps. They're not doing good, dude. They're the Toxic Twins.
Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, let me see if
well, at the time, you know, Bon Jovi. You had Bon Jovi. You had Van Halen.
Don't talk ill about Mr. Jovi, dude. I love him.
No. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. At the time, you know, it lends itself to your point about Aerosmith not being in with this group of people. The people have moved on. You know, Janet Jackson was big. Whitney Houston, like you said, Madonna. This is like, you know what I mean?
Did you wear any of this stuff, by the way? Did you ever do like?
No, that was never my thing. That was never my thing. I was always a little like I was like an athlete in high school. It wasn't something. I went to Catholic school, so it wasn't my my thing. You know, it's so funny as I look at some of this stuff right now that was going on. This is actually a really great time in music, man. You know, the Prince's Parade album had just come out, which is like wow. Man, Peter Gabriel, Sledgehammer.
Oh, dude.
Hold on. Sledgehammer.
I do, and I'm doing.
Pet Shop Boys. This is crazy. This is
West End Girl.
All these different styles, man. It's unbelievable. You know, Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald. Ooh-wee. On my own.
One of my favorite jokes that anybody ever did, and it was he'll never do it again, and I don't think he remembers doing it. But Eric Andre, the first time I saw him was at 12 Shiny Nickels, and he was just freestyle, like just spitting like whatever the comedy thing is in his head, and he started singing like Michael McDonald. And he said, "What if I had Tourette's and that was my Tourette's thing that I just constantly sang like Michael McDonald?" And he was just like, "I can't do it." It just, I mean, the greatest simple riff throwaway that I swear I don't remember any of his material from anything he's ever done except for that fucking joke, and I love it. Dude, the 80s ruled. I was with, not the name drop, but I was with Burr yesterday. We were talking about music because I was listening to this record. And dude, I mean, like I said before, this immediately took me back. And it was like, and I was like, holy shit, I know every lyric from this record without even trying. You know, it just
yeah. It's yeah, I know what you mean. It's like you hear the song, you just start to go, oh man, that's right.
Right from Peter Piper. Right from Peter Piper. A Peter Piper picked peppers at the back there. I mean, if I can't say the right lyrics, I know how to phonetically do what I do.
But that was a thing too. That was part of the style, though. You know, if you look at the album, you know, Peter Piper, that was a great one. It's tricky. I love that song. My Adidas, Walk This Way. And then you have some B-sides. Is It Live, Perfection, Hit and Run. Raising Hell was good. You Be Illin', you know, and then, I mean, that, look, at that particular time in music, if you got 2 or 3 hits off an album, that was a great album. You know?
Yeah.
But to have like 5 or 6 jams?
No, this
don't happen. That don't happen.
Yeah, I think this is the first multi-platinum hip hop record, and rightfully so, because this is, I mean, transcending, like we said. I mean, without this, there is no, because this set up the Beastie Boys to really blow up. Because they just took this style a little bit with Fight for Your Right. They did exactly, and that's what's so genius. It's like, what is that shit like? Oh my God. Like, what's the comic that's like figured out the formula and then is just constantly keep doing that? Or even like,
yeah.
Or even
which isn't always good though.
No, like, but if it works, it works. And it's like, dude, I'm just saying there's so many musicians that have done that. We figure out the formula, we make it work, and we go with it. And so, you know, oh, dude, I'll say this. I'll give you a better example of that. Is David Angelo. We're working on a TV show together. And one of the funny thing is he's a libertarian, but he writes for the Daily Show. And I go, but you hate liberals. And he goes, but it's the easiest thing to write for. He goes, it's a formula. It's just shit on Trump, you know, and then do this. He like broke it down for me. Like, that's actually perfect. I was like, I can't hate you for that. But it's the formula. And that was the thing. That's how you get, I mean, how do I put this where I don't want to come off sounding putting white or black people down, but we mentioned it already. You're going back. Hip hop is a novelty to white people. They never think it's going to be big. So how do you get them? How do you get them to come over here, man? No, we're cool. We got Aerosmith. We got Dream On. We got the fucking 9 scarves on the microphone. Zibble zabble dibble and zabble. We got fucking Steven Tyler.
But you know, Def Jam, that I'm looking at a list now and I'm just like, oh, I don't even, I'm forgetting everything that was going on at the time because you know, Run DMC made it commercial with their album, and then it allowed people to find and listen to like LL Cool J, you know. That was like, I can't live without my radio, you know what I mean? That was like all that stuff back then, man.
Did you like him? Did you like?
Oh, back then, LL, yeah, man, he was great.
Who were so would you say Run DMC was your first real, like, oh man, like, because I mean that kind of has to be because they were the first ones that really felt they weren't just like doing a form of disco.
That's what I'm trying to tell you is when you're from LA, you're like, you know, you're listening to a lot of other stuff at the time, you know.
Like what?
I mean, I was like Eric B and Rakim. You're listening to, you know, EPMD, and you're listening to like, you know, like there's like a lot of other. There was a lot of other artists that if you liked rap, you knew about it, but you didn't get to hear it on FM radio. You didn't get to see it on television or anything like that. Run DMC opened the door for people that were more, you know, grimy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but dude, you know what? I'm so glad. I'm so glad, like, for all the bad things that the internet has done to the world and is driving us apart and ruining our country. Besides that, the fact that I could go, when did Eric B. Paid in Full come out? Even though I've already done it. Boom, type it in, 1987. I can tell you the label, the format, where it went, where it was listed. And yeah, so this is right before all of that.
Yeah, man.
Which is when the rhyming started to change.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay,
but
hear me.
Like, but you know, this is like I was a fan of KRS-One before. You know what I mean? You couldn't hear KRS-One on your rate. That just wasn't happening. That was only on K-Day. You were hearing, the South Bronx album, and then he came out with My Philosophy later. But it's like that's what was going on in the underground, man. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if here's another thing too, though. Not everyone in hip hop appreciated what Run DMC was doing. I mean, they were considered like sellouts. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah, it was like, they with that white band trying to be all, you know what I mean? But you can look back on it now and realize, that was important for the hip hop movement. But at the time, it wasn't always taken a certain way. It's like when Whitney Houston talked about when she was on Arsenio way back in the day that she went to the Soul Train Awards and she was booed. And, she's on Arsenio and she's crying about it because she's like, they tell me that I sing too white. So that was a thing that was going on back then. That was like, an internal strife within the Black community about what is this? Not realizing the cultural significance of opening this up to everybody means that so many other people can have a hip hop career and have a real career.
So do you think that's basically the fact that they're like Run DMC is they still haven't they broken into the Black community, and I feel like at this point they're accepted for sure by the Black community, but to really breach those white people, which is where the people that are buying records and the people, the kids and the kids of them, is it has to be, which I don't want to say it's not the best song on the record, but we have to talk about Walk This Way, which, and I know I'm going way out of order, but I think that this is the reason where it's the reason this is so deeply on the list, this low, and we did a Run DMC record a while ago. It's because of this. And I think this is all basically because of Rick Rubin, because I think he was like, he tells them
he's a visionary, man.
He tells them to rock. Yeah, he is a visionary. And I mean, even now it's like, he doesn't know how to work a board, but he just knows the vibe. And he just knew, listen, man, if we do this, cause like, he brought them the beat to Walk This Way. Run DMC was like, kind of like, I don't, really, this is what you want to do? Yeah. And he's like, they don't care about the lyrics. They don't even know the lyrics, but they just love that Walk This Way has this incredible drum intro. And also Aerosmith are in their mid-30s. They're in which I would call the ancient years. Right? That's old in rock and roll. They've already fucking had a bunch of huge hits.
Yeah, but they would have put you down if you were your age right now back then.
Oh my God, dude. I want to start a real band now. And I'm like, I can't, 46. What am I doing, dude? But the moral of the story is, dude, they were like on the outs. And it's like, but they, dude, fucking, I mean, it's how funny is that to be Aerosmith, written Dream On, Sweet Emotion, be one of the biggest bands of the 70s, playing arenas. And then you have a hip hop group come up to you and say, hey man, we want to cover your song and we want you to be in it. Which, by the way, I was listening to it, like, I think it's really funny. There's a funny like Instagram reel or sketch video of just having the way that Steven Tyler, all he had to sing in the song is, he's just one word, just come dance, chance, play.
But I don't know. It just worked though, man. I mean, it just worked. I mean, you know what's funny about that era, 1986? 1986 is Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Will Smith. Mm-hmm. That was 1986.
Can I ask you a question? Not to get off topic. Not to get off topic. I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I don't like Will Smith anymore, man. I don't like. He smacked Chris, and it's not even that smack. He could have smacked anybody, not just Chris Rock, but he ruined the Oscars. That's the Oscars are as gay as I go. I go the Oscar. I don't do the Tonys. I'm a top. I'm not a bottom. You know what I mean? I'll fuck a man in the ass to watch the Oscars.
But you're versatile.
I'm versatile. But I'm not taking it. I'm not watching the Tonys, even though I go to plays before, but every time I leave, I go, that was so gay. Like, Wicked was so gay. But it was good.
I'll tell you, listen, this is my thing. I was so upset by that slap because for so many reasons. For just one, because it's Chris Rock, which is like one of my idols. Okay. Mm-hmm. And two, because of what it did for comedy. Because at the time, there was an attack on comedy. You know what I mean? So there were people who were like, well, that's why comics got to watch their mouth vibe out there, you know, which I didn't like. I didn't like that he was allowed to stay. Okay, like I thought that was egregious. And then it also ruined one of the most iconic careers ever.
Yeah.
I mean, I had all of Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince albums. He was clean and he told a story. I loved all those. Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble, Parents Just Don't Understand. Like all that led into him becoming an actor started in this hip hop world. And then Quincy Jones seeing him and being like, there's something here. You got something. Then making Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and that turning into he had that thing that Tom Cruise has, man. He had that thing for a second. That like, I don't know what the it factor is. I don't know what the star factor is, but there's something about him that it's like, and then he ruined that. He spit on it with this.
Spit on it.
You know what I mean? And it'll never be the same. That image will never go out of my head. And I think that it has tarnished his career. And then that with the combination of the internet and people knowing too much about people, it's done. You know, because I tell you who's not on the internet like that. I tell you who we don't know. We don't know much about other than like it's just gossip. It's Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt. You know, the action stars of that genre. We don't know nothing about them. We shouldn't. We know everything about this dude. We know his sex life, his wife's sex life, his son's sex life. It's like, God damn, shut up. You know what I mean? And can we have a little anonymity with your ass?
It's the problem with, you know, you watch these. It's a problem with how do I put this? I want to put this where I'm because everything you said is 100% everything. I completely agree with everything, and I loved him. And now I'm like, I'll never watch another movie, dude. If a movie
sucks, man.
If I'm on an airplane and it's only his movies on the fucking little Delta screen, dude, I'll sit there. I'll just raw dog a flight staring at the back of the seat. Like I am not into it. But I think, man. I think it does suck. But I also think it's because like he just I think he wanted to be famous more than he wanted to make art. You hear that in those interviews he did with all of the he has these things with actors, and he's like, this girl broke up with me and I said I'm gonna be the biggest movie star in the world, and it's like instead of just like I just want to make movies because I love art and doing this. And
listen, man, I'm okay with that because he's like a professional athlete. I'm totally okay with the you know, a little bit of delusion and a little bit of like, I'm the greatest because he was the greatest. He made himself the greatest at the time. You know, he became a big, huge box office star. Okay. I think that the issue with him now is he's trying to stay famous. You know what I mean? You know, he's like that, you know, he's like Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't got it no more, man. It's okay. You had the great, you had your run. And he ruined it with like, you know, some personality traits that we just didn't really want to see. I don't think we needed to see that. You know what I mean? I just didn't think that was handled right. I don't know. That's like you wait till a commercial break and you go up to him and go, hey, you know what I'm saying? And then we hear about it later. Like, because if he would have done that, it'd been a totally different thing. If at the commercial break, he got up and said, yo, we need to have a conversation. Don't ever do that again. And then we hear like rumors of it like, yo, Will Smith went up to Chris Rock. Don't talk about my wife. I think people are like, yo, but the fact that he disrespected the Oscars, Chris himself, his wife, what he represents, his career, all of that, his family. I just, you know.
I'm with you. You know what he needs right now? You know what he needs? Aerosmith.
I know. Yeah, right. You know,
you want to,
you know. But, you know, again, if you go back to get back on topic, it's like, you know, this is a great era. I mean, like I said, so you had DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Salt and Pepper. I mean, you looking at this like, you know, this was an amazing time for hip hop. You know what I mean? It's so funny. I look at that. I see a list here, and I'm looking at like Too Short came out back then too. But Ice-T. You know what's funny is kids today, if you're like under 30, you don't even know Ice-T was a rapper. You just think he's the dude from Law and Order. You know what I mean? And that's something. I even think with LL Cool J, I think LL Cool J is still kind of out there, but I can also see people being like, Oh, that's the dude from CSI something or other, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so funny how, like, you know, just thinking of like how iconic a lot of this was. But I don't know, man. I just think that this was a really important album. They were a really important group, and they got their due later. You know, they got their due later, but they had to go through some tough times to get in there because, you know, because as I'm thinking about this too, it's like, you know, Eric B and Rakim, like if you were underground, you were like, oh, you wanted that to be the thing that blew up. Okay. Eric B is president. Oh my God. Like, you know,
I know.
I ain't no joke.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like all that, that is iconic rap to me. Run DMC, what they did and how they did it and what they brought, they brought rap into this new world is like what I thought was special and important, but just artistically and musically, there was a bunch of way better stuff going on in the rap world than what Run DMC was doing.
I know, and it was all just about to boil over because, like you just mentioned, like some of the most important, influential people in hip hop. Yeah. Eric B is about to change the way that the rappers rap. Then you've got Public Enemy coming out, like their first record's coming out like in a year or so, which is basically going to take it into a political. So now you're getting, it's like, all right, now not only, and look, I'm not saying that they're not being, they're not talking about what's going on in New York and, for the black culture, but it's like, then you have somebody.
By the way, you don't have to. By the way, that's not.
No, you don't.
That's not, there was, it's like not everybody has to be REM. You know what I'm saying? Like even in, there are a lot of white groups that think they have to be like, we have to like change the world. Not everybody has to do that. Some people just like, hey, can we make some fun music and have people, be escapism too? But what I'm saying is there was always people in hip hop doing that. KRS-One was already doing that. He was already talking about the black community and what was needed and racism and all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't commercial. It wasn't, what people wanted to hear, And then Run DMC said, hey, listen, we're going to open this door so people can see not just us, but also the people behind us too. And they might like it. And I think that they did. And now here we are today.
Yeah. I was listening to this, and I mean, I don't want to say it's my favorite, but good God, I mentioned it already. Peter Piper, good God. I mean, just that's your favorite from it. It's not my favorite, but it's just that beat is so good when it kicks in, that like bell sound, that ding 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 ding. I mean, it's just so that, first of all, it's also like the nursery rhyme, like flexing turned into like street mythology is pretty fucking dope. And they're like,
but you had all them dudes, right? Roxanne, was it UTFO? You know what I mean? Yeah. They were all doing that. Yo, can't go. I don't think that you did, but you went about the matter with no experience. You should know. She doesn't need a guy like you. She needs a guy like me with a high IQ because she takes to my rap because my rap's the best. Sophisticated rapper MC will never vest. That stuff was already going on. You know what I mean? Mm. There was a lot of dudes like that, so I get you. But like, that's not my favorite genre of rap when I think about it. I remember hearing Walk This Way. And I can just think of myself thinking like, oh man, that's great. It's like, oh, I wonder what else you could rap on. That was just my first thought after hearing that. I was like, because you didn't even think, you would never think of that. You know what I mean? You would never think that you could just do the same thing. And then you start to go, oh, well, of course you can. It's, still an 8-beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could, once you heard that, I think it opened the door for everyone. I think that's when musicality came to rap, and it was needed. Because all that stuff was like, it's great and all, and it's in its time, but I think it evolved into something like way, way better, more artistic, So, and here we are. Like I said,
I completely agree. Tricky is funny because there was a that little like the at the beginning. There was like, I don't know. I've seen somebody else did it. I'm not gonna say after me, but theirs went far bigger and got way more viral. But in my oven or stove in my old place in LA, when I would turn it on and was waiting for the gas to click over, I I have a video. I'll post it. It's just like it's during COVID. I'm like, I think it's very vital to rock my recital. To rock my recital. I love it. And then some chick did it, and that shit blew up. And
well, no, but it's like, I think that they, it's like when you listen back to it now, you go, oh man, they were in it. You know what I mean? Like they were having fun. What I like about it was like, it was so fun, and they were saying something. It's not like, influential, like, political stuff, but I'm just saying they had good stories about the things that they were talking about, and the lyrics were very clear, like it's like, sometimes I feel like we need to get back to that. Can I hear what you're saying?
Yeah.
Can you speak up?
I love Tricky. I think Tricky is probably the most recognizable intros in all of hip hop. I mean, just that you start hearing that noise. If it was like, I can name that song in 3 notes. If you just play, I'd be like, immediately I'd say it's Tricky. And what's cool is that it's like, it's almost like it starts like a fucking middle school presentation, but then it turns into full on swagger. And I mean, it is this record. What I love about this record, well, I wouldn't say I love. I mean, if you look at this track listing on this record and the way they sequenced it, Peter Piper, It's Tricky, Into My Adidas, Into Walk This Way, Is It Live? That's a good song. Perfection's cool. You Be Illin'.
That's my favorite. You Be Illin'.
But then, I mean, and look, I'm not putting down.
I actually like Son of Byford too, but
really,
yeah. I mean, it's just like, I look at this album, it's like, all right, and it's not lost on me that they ended the album with "Proud to Be Black." It's like they're just hoping white people listen and don't get to that song.
Then they stopped after fucking Walk This Way. They gave up.
They were done after.
They got Walk This Way. That's why they bought the record. This is the black dudes. They gonna listen to this shit. My Adidas. I mean, I wonder how much money. Adam. Okay, we call him Adam. God damn it, Alex. Did we see? Like, did they make? How much money did? Can we find out how much money Adidas made? Maybe this thing will tell me. But I got to imagine that the sales just fucking
this was a big commercial hit because they went on a big arena tour. I mean, this album was a huge commercial hit. They probably made no money. They probably had a terrible deal. I think Russell Simmons probably made more money off this album than they did.
No, but the sales wise, I mean, there had to have been a spike.
You just go to Billboard, just look at, just look it up. Rap album sales,
Hold on. I got it right here. Singing My Adidas. My On Clouds.
The endorsement deal was 1.6 million.
Yeah, so Speed to Plat, it was certified platinum, 1 million copies on July 15th, 1986, just 2 months after its release. Peak position, it reached number 6 on the Billboard 200. Wow. Long term, by April 1987, it reached triple platinum.
There is, from my understanding, we already mentioned the endorsement deal, which is great, and also the tour. That helps Adidas. The long-term value, tens of millions. Over decades, not officially quantified. But what they did, they may not have made money, but I'll say this, dude, they made cultural immortality. I think they cemented themselves in the beginning, the early stages of hip hop. Because you don't, like I said, you look at it like European soccer dads, and now it became Confidence Rebellion. It became like, it's cool. Don't touch my shoes type shit, like, or I'll fuck you up. Adidas, you know what I mean? Like, dude, if you, and I don't even know if they had the hard shells too. It's brainwashing, but in a really fun way.
I think it's weird because I think they learned the power of music in advertising too, that kind of thing, where it was kind of like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Make it cool. You make it cool. I mean, this is the first time I think, you saw how cool hip hop can be. I mean, if you think about it, it's not just hip hop, because it's not even like that. It's not even like country music was all that huge at this time either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For for crossover success and that kind of stuff. So it's like a lot of genres. I think this opened up, genres for a lot of genres, just to be like, hey, look, What else can we make mainstream?
Was there ever a thing like, what was the fashion trend that you got into that I remember we used starter jackets.
I never was that guy ever.
Really?
I've never been that guy. I've never wanted shoes. I've never been like I got to get the new Jordans. I've never been that guy. I've always just kind of been like, just, modest, about the things that I wear. I just never was like, I got to get that thing and that thing. I don't know why, but it just was never my thing.
Okay, so in high school, if you asked,
I went to a private school where you had to wear a little bit of a uniform. You had to have a polo shirt and some regular pants. So it's not even like you didn't even have to show off like that at school. When you're in public school, you're gonna be like, man, I can't go to school with these. You got to get me. I'm gonna get clowned if I don't. That was never a thing for me.
So if you were going to the sock hop, we're a girls' school and the boys' school. I don't know. That's what they're called. That's all right. Or the dance, the high school dance, which is a sock hop, which is an older sock hop.
Yeah.
You're going there. How's Erik Griffin?
I probably dressing? Had some jeans. I had some jeans, some regular sneakers on, a hoodie or a jacket, or you know what I mean. It was just simple gear back then, man. I was a simple dude. I was a nerd, but I was on the basketball team, so I had a little bit of cachet being on the basketball team without having to be, a fashionista. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Dude, what about you? Were you all,
in high school? All right. So in middle school, that was during when I wanted to be black era for a moment. So it was like, I mean, I wish I could find this picture very quickly. I wish I knew the shirt that I was wearing, but I would say like a Ralph Lauren or like a polo sport, kind of like button up long sleeve. In high school though, I went grunge. So then I just dressed like Eddie Vedder and it was flannels and shit.
Right.
And then in college, I had like a Britpop era. So I was wearing of course, in the late 90s, late 90s, I was dressing like, I was a raver. So I was dressing like I was in Limp Bizkit. And then in the early 2000s in college, it was like, I remember like, having a Brit, like I wanted to dress like I was in like, Oasis or Radiohead or some shit like that. And dude, it wasn't until really I moved to New York where I really started getting back into like fashion. Cause it was just, I was always been t-shirt and jeans. Always been t-shirt and jeans, and now it's still t-shirt and jeans. It's just nicer quality shit.
I was about to say now it's $50 t-shirt.
50? 50?
You stupid bitch.
I know. I got no kids, dude. I got just me and the dog, and I got no bills.
Yeah, I just never. Yeah, I don't know. That's never been my thing. But it's like for me growing up in LA. And you just didn't have a lot of options. Like I said, there was K-Day, so of course I listened to that rap and that kind of stuff. But then I had to listen to whatever was going on. I remember when CDs came out. I remember the cassette tapes I wore the grooves off of was Purple Rain, Thriller, and Huey Lewis and the News. I want a new drug. And I had my little cassette tape with my headphones, and I would just listen to those 3 albums all the time. And then the CDs came out, and my first CD I ever bought was the Faith album, George Michael, because he was like, he was huge at the time, So that was my first CD. So, but basically my point I'm saying is like, that's what you had to do if you weren't white. If you weren't white, you had to broaden your horizons to hear things because it wasn't a lot of options, And so like but that made me, I feel like more eclectic, I liked, what's that group like OMD? I loved OMD.
What were they? Was that How Bizarre?
No, I was only dreaming. I was only trying to catch your eye. I loved all that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That is great. Well, you had like George Michael. They had
like 6 jams on that. So what I'm saying is like, so that was my like, going, getting into that new wave pop. But then it was like Depeche Mode and you know what I mean? When they came out, and then it was like, it was all that. It was all, leading up into like going to high school, and then like, that's what you had to listen to. And then Run DMC like made it like, oh wow, now we're gonna get other stuff,
Yeah.
But there's people, if the genre that you love, if you're a country music person, you've always been a country music person, and you can name, you know what I'm saying? You can name all the acts, and people will be like, who's that? You're like, who's that? That's how I feel like people were in the black community about rap. They knew who Rakim was. They knew who these people were, KRS-One and all these groups. You know what I mean? They knew, you know, all the street guys that people were talking about. It was like, who's that dude? You know about that guy? You know, so it's just, you know, making it more mainstream and open it for people to have access to it was a wonderful thing. And I think Run DMC was on the forefront of that, thanks to, you know, Rick Rubin and Def Jam, and taking a chance and being like, no, this is great music and everyone needs to hear it.
Totally. And, you know, I feel like to wrap this up before we do our final questions, when I hit you up and I said, hey man, Run DMC, you fuck with me? And you said, oh, another boy band.
I said, I know. I was making fun. I was like, it's the second boy band.
Yeah.
Just if you guys don't know, our longtime argument is that the Beatles were the first boy band, and he takes such offense to this, you know. And it's like I maintain, and you know what? Most people agree with me. Okay, it's not an insult.
Wait,
he's absolutely right. They're the first boy band.
Shut your front door, dude. No.
Whatever he said, good. Because I didn't hear it, but whatever he said, he knows what I'm talking about.
He said
the first Backstreet Boys. They were the first in
fuck off. Listen, I'll give you
but with music. You know what I mean?
I will give you, Eric. I will give you that you said something that was right. That they are a band of boys, but they're not a boy band. It's such
at the time they were the first boy band, man. They were the first one. They were the first one to have 4 guys. Just, you know, where girls were screaming and the guys wanted to be them, and you know, people were going crazy, and it was like kind of like popcorny music too at the time too. Some of the songs, you know what I mean? It was like, you know, it was great. You know, they watered down blues and jazz and soul, and they made it what they did. But it was very much more than just the music. It was a movement, and that's what boy bands do. Let's not relitigate this, okay? You already lost.
I did not lose this. I did not lose. And I mean, truth be told, we're going to do a poll on this. I'm going to see. We now have a bigger fan base. The fan base has grown even more. Let's do the final question.
You guys go back to that episode.
Yes, which is a great episode, by the way.
It's a great episode. This is my second time on the 500, and I'm so glad you're still doing this, man, because it's like, you know, this is like a love letter to the music business, and it's needed for people to remember that the music is more about, it's not just about commercial success. It's not just about, you know, being a household name. It's about making great art, and this is a celebration of that. And, you know, and when you do the goddamn comedy jam, it's also an example of that too, that people just, how music brings people together, all walks of life and all types of genres and music. And so kudos to you, man. You don't get enough credit. So I'm giving it to you now.
I appreciate it. I love it. And dude, I'll be the first to admit it. We were going to quit, or I was going to quit so many times, especially after Spotify, like, you know, fucking in the middle of the pandemic, when they didn't drop the show, but they wanted to renegotiate, and it just got all fucked up. And the moral of the story is this, is that, you know, people probably were like, you're going to do all 500 episodes. And the fact that we're like at the point now that it's like, I mean, dude, we have 2.5 more years, I think. That's it.
Wow.
We're literally almost done. We're done May 28th, 2028. And now we're in the best of the best of the best. So
because this is almost a 10-year project. If you did once a week, it's a 10-year project.
And we've never missed a week. That was the thing. We've never even been late. That was the whole situation, is that and dude, I'm so much happier, you know, no disrespect to the guests that we had booked, but I'm so much happier to you, because I love you as a person. You're one of the coolest dudes I know, and you love this record. And it's like, and even the booker was like, damn, why didn't I ask Eric right off the jump? And I'm like, yeah, why didn't you? Why did I have to be the fucking, I just search this motherfucker. I love you, Emily. I love you.
Beatles fans.
We're not bringing you on for any of the Beatles records. I'll tell you that right now. I'm getting somebody that's like, they're not a boy band at all. They're the most talented musicians that ever lived.
That's so insulting to. You're gonna make me.
I'm throwing it out there, dude.
Hanson played all their instruments.
All right, dude. No,
okay.
You're not even mentioning Hanson in the Beatles in the same breath.
I'm just saying, if that's the qualification to not be a boy band, then they weren't a boy band.
I don't think but I don't think Hanson is a boy band. I think they're a band because they're just having they're brothers. They're brothers.
I'm done with you.
All right. Let's do the final questions. We'll get you out of here.
Questions, let's go.
All right. Favorite song on this record?
You Be Illin'.
Really? Why You Be Illin' over the other ones? I was curious.
That was just the one that just stuck with me, That was like something you said with your friends back in the time. I'd be, man, you be illin'.
Bring it back. Bring it back, Eric. Bring it back.
I know.
I'm bringing back. I'm bringing back Out of Sight. I'm like, oh, that's Out of Sight.
That's something. That it's one of those things. That's what you would say. Oh man, you illin'. Illin' was a thing. You know what I'm saying? That was like one of those euphemisms. It was one of those sayings that was out in the streets. Man, you illin', man. So it's like I like that.
And you know what's funny, Eric? A lot of ours, the 80s hip hop, and then the 90s, and even some of the early 2000s, it's the bomb. Like they've still kind of stuck around a little bit.
Fresh.
Do you think that fresh? It still works. It still works.
Yeah.
Do you think that? I mean, I don't know all the terminology for the kids today, and I hate that I just said the kids today. But the younger generation, Gen Z, is that it?
Yeah.
Will any of those stick around, or like I just don't feel like they have any sticking power. They're all kind of lame.
But now we just sound old.
Yeah. Okay. I'm done. Oh, you're right. You're right.
This is like this the Unk podcast right now. That's what they're gonna say. Listen to Unk.
Let me tell you something. Run D.M.C. is the greatest hip hop group.
Stop being mid, Unk.
I'm sorry, I'm being mid. No cap though. Come on.
6'7", Unk. Whatever that
67. 67. That's how we would do it. We go, what's all this 67 shit? Come on. Yeah. Is there anything on this album you skip over, or is this a no skip record?
No, it's a skip record. This is just definitely a skip record. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Especially if you're listening to it now. I'm not that nostalgic of it. You know what I mean? Like it's like you kind of go, because I just remember a time when that's what you did anyway. CDs. When you were listening to a record, you had to listen to everything. And it's not surprising that this album is front loaded with what ended up being most of their jams. So, you would get to that, you got to freaking, what's the list? You got to freaking, Is It Live? And you might have checked out.
Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, dude, I don't know if I got to finish this when I was starting this earlier. This is a front loaded record.
Yeah.
This is side one.
That's the sign of the times though, man.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I come from an era where there was no skip. You didn't have a skip, man. You just was like, and that was like the greatest thing ever when CDs came out. You could be like, oh, check this out. I could go to track 6 right now. Boom, 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 boom. You couldn't do that. You had to. You were listening to your cassette, or you had to like press fast forward. You were messing up your. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's a different time. So
totally.
Those were the Peter Piper, Tricky, My Adidas, Walk This Way. You're like you're good. That's the album. That'd be their EP right now. Maybe You Be Illin', Raising Hell. Maybe those two would make it. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. I feel like I got to say this. I got to say these two things before I do the sex question. It's Tricky. The sample was built around the Knack's My Sharona.
Oh,
isn't that cool? I didn't know that.
My Sharona.
Yeah, that they're using that. Then also this is in the National Register recorded. This is in the Library of Congress for cultural, historical, and aesthetic significance. And on the 2020 re-rank, this album actually dropped to 209. Right now, it is 123. So it's interesting that it went down that far. Can you fuck to this record?
No.
It's not fuckable. But it's not like it's not. It's just not.
Unless it's like some
nothing. There's nothing sexy about this.
Some crazy white girl, that she's just, maybe she like Aerosmith. You know what I mean? You can, you know what I'm saying?
The best part of that, I gotta say this: the best part of that Aerosmith song when it's like the beat drops out and it's like deep and like this. I mean, I was in the car rocking as I was driving up Vine.
That's the good part about it. But to me, it's just the guitar lick. That's one of the most iconic guitar licks, right?
100%. Bro, but I'm trying to say to you, Eric, I'm driving up Vine Street, listening to it in my rental car, and I got the dog in the car, and I'm fucking rocking. And I look to my left out the window, and there's this like black chick and her husband, and they're just looking right at me, like, like you get it.
Go on, white boy. I see.
Go ahead, kid. I mean, who's rocking? Who's singing "Walk This Way" these days?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Who's rocking
like,
"Walk This Way"?
You just found it, huh?
Yeah. I've been in a coma. I don't know what you're doing. How do you sum this record up? How would you get someone merely? How do you get somebody to listen to this that's never listened to Run DMC Raising Hell?
Oh, I would say this is I would say you got to listen to the album that opened the door for hip hop to be commercial.
Totally. That's perfect. I think, listen, you could sit here and say it's all, because of this, we now have this. And I think this is obviously a big Mount Rushmore moment for hip hop.
I don't think you can tell the story of the music business without this album.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the story can be told. There'd be a gaping hole. Like it would be like people would start talking about hip hop and stuff. You'd be like, and someone would ask, wait, when did that start? Then you'd have to tell that story.
Totally. Promote away, buddy. What do you got? What do you got coming up? What are you doing? What do you want?
Well, I'm still got my podcast, Riffing with Griffin, my solo pod. I still got another one, The Golden Hour, with my buddies. You can check me out there. I got this movie that I'm in. I just did this, just wrapped this Tony Gilroy movie with Pedro Pascal. It's called Behemoth. So that's going to be coming out in however many. You look for that, in the future. And I'm just on tour, ericgriffin.com. I got a bunch of stuff going on. I'm going to be on the cruise with you, so if you got this important cruise, and then I'm doing some more dates with Matt Rife. I'm still working with him a lot, and I'm doing my dates, and I'm just like enjoying life being a dad.
How is it? You love it? You don't want to run away yet? Run away from me, baby.
No, it really is the joy of my life, and I wish I would have done it sooner.
I love that. And I love you. I'm so happy. Thank you for coming on in such short notice, man. I know this is a rough day for you.
I got you. You know what I mean? It was a rough day. This is a lot of talking for today. But, when Meyers calls, Griffin shows up.
All right, I'll send you the Venmo.
Sometimes I wish it was sometimes I wish it was the first call. I'm always the bro.
Listen, dude. I need somebody.
Dropped out. Can you go to the jam tonight? And I'm like, okay.
Dude, but here's what's good. Now you're in the Wayne Fetterman territory, because Wayne Fetterman has been he has been my God-saving grace for this podcast, where he's had to learn about an album, an artist, in like literally an hour and come in. Well, and so this was perfect because, dude, realistically, Eric, it was funny. It was like, I was like, all right, I think you were one of my first reach outs. And then I went, and then I was like, fuck, like, let me go. And I go to Byron and I go to Godfrey because he's in town. And you had already said you had done so much because I was still trying to do it live. And then I just got to the point where I was like, fuck, man. I was like, let's just fuck the studio. Let's just do it here. Hopefully the internet's good. And dude, this is so much better. I'm so happy it's you. So fun. It was informative. Everybody loved it. I mean, it comes out tomorrow. Go see Erik on the road. I know, he's going to be with Matt Rife, so there probably isn't tickets available when there's that.
Probably, but I got my own dates too. Erik Griffin.
I know that. You didn't let me finish the joke, you fucking loon. No, you're the best. Dude, thank you, brother.
Yeah, man. See ya. Thanks a lot.
So we're done now. So they need time for your thing to upload.